afternoon, Chennai. This is Paperback. You're with me, Jane, the book chick on Chennailive, 1FL.8 FM. The book in the spotlight today is called Drowning Fish, and it's by Swati Chanda. Swati, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to Paperback.
Thank you.
All right, so tell us, the book centers around your protagonist, Nilanjana. What really happens to her? What are some of the bad things that she has to encounter? I know she's constantly traveling. She goes back and forth. The book in itself is set in the 1950 East Pakistan after partition, and then of course she is in the US, and then she's coming back and forth between India and there.
That's
so
right.
what are some of the things that she's looking at?
So one of the questions I think I'm asking in the book is that, for a lot of people, the idea of home and the idea of love are things you go to, right? You move towards the idea of security, the idea of comfort, the idea of love. The question I'm asking in this book is, what if those are not destinations? What if those are starting points? You can't stay in your home. You can't stay in a relationship which is supposed to be based on love. What happens to you then? What happens to your journey? What does it look like when you have to leave?
Isn't that scary? You're making it topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
So everything looks picture perfect in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And then the rose-tinted glasses are taken.
Absolutely. You got that absolutely spot on.
Is that how life actually treats us?
So, I hope not for everybody, but I think what I'm also trying to explore is that how can that be a source of strength? How can you find your identity? How can you find your personality? How can you find comfort? How can you be set under those circumstances? So that's what to explore. It's the idea and loving. How do we betray those we love the most? Why do we betray the ones we love the most? What happens then? And that is something that the book really explores.
It's a very, very difficult question, and especially the one, or especially the when that happens, how do you deal with it outside the book? How does it happen? I'm just asking you in general.
It could happen. So it could happen. Not for everybody, thankfully, but it could. We could betray the ones we love in spite of our deepest desire not to. We could be victims of, or we could be trapped in circumstances way beyond our control, and where we cannot do the right thing, even though we know what the right thing is, and even though we want to do it, we are trapped in different kinds of conflicting loyalties, which lead us to let the people down whom we love the most. So that's one thing. And what does it do to you as a person when you know that has happened? What does it do to the person you've left?
Secret to do that, they bury it, and someday they're at a very psychosomatic level.
It's a very interesting and a perceptive question you've asked, because in this book, I don't know if it's a general rule. I hope not. I hope people don't have those histories that they have to suppress. In the book, it is there, and it explodes, actually. It explodes.
It always does.
Yeah, it does.
Even in reality, if you're going to bury it deep, it's going to come back and haunt you.
Yeah, and in the most, strange, unexpected ways, when you least expect it, and that's something that you can't sort of ignore anymore. You've been ignoring it for years, but when it finally explodes, you can't ignore it anymore.
So would you think, or would it be right to say that if you're going through something and it's not very easy to deal with, should one actually have that one person or one way of actually venting it all out in some form? Is that easy? I know it's not, but is that something that could be set as a rule to just make your life happier, a little easier?
It could be, unless you end up using that person again. I think the other question my book looks at is, what kind of a love story is it loves and the other doesn't? What happens then? They're together. One person loves and the other person doesn't. And the person who does not, the person who loves
should leave.
They don't, because they love. And they're not